Coming to you live from Farmer Dave's world headquarters here in Dracut, Massachusetts, I'm Cassie.
And I'm Stacey.
And we're here to help you
prepare your share. This is our new segment, CSA Q&A. One of the biggest questions that was asked repeatedly by our members is, what do you do when you bring your CSA share home?
The magic of Farmer Dave's home delivery, we have our regular vegetable share. Let's see what's inside. Now, Stacey and I have no idea what's in this box. This is packed for us by our CSA manager, Elise. We have no idea. This is going to be just like when you guys get home with your CSA crate. If you are a grab-and-go customer and you don't do a swap and you don't really look at the emails or anything like that, so
here we go. Oh, this is full. This is full. Okay.
Scallions!
We're going to just lay all this out and then we will...
We got kale.
Some parsley. Some tatsoi.
Sorrel.
Yes. Oh, we got sorrel.
Lemon.
Look at this.
That's some nice green leaf. Oh, that's huge.
That's really big.
Oh.
Really big. Spinach. I think everybody's had tons of spinach.
It's awesome.
Oh, broccoli raw.
Cilantro.
Nice.
Yep, cilantro. So we get our herbs. Right here.
All right, I want to know what's in the soil to grow those. Those are huge radishes.
Hawkeye turnips. Okay.
Turnips.
All right. Chivas. Some Swiss chard. Beets. Oh, hello.
With some beautiful greens on them too.
All right.
On the cucumbers.
Okay. I already see a salad.
Yep. We're just going to lay all these out and then we're going to kind of formulate here.
Okay.
And a whole bunch of squash.
Some squash.
Excellent.
Right,
So I'm going to remove this.
Okay, perfect. And then I'm
We're
going to
gonna
spread
put this
all
aside
out for all y'all. Where am I from, all y'all? Okay. So squash. Cukes. Got all our herbs. Got our cooking greens over here. We got salad greens. Oops, this is the cooking green. Broccoli raw is a cooking green. You can kind of eat it raw, but...
One of the things I suggest time and time again is the night you bring your share home, have dinner planned already. Don't stress yourself out with trying to get all this in the fridge, washed, bagged, everything, and then make dinner for the family. Just to have some dinner ready, or at least you know you're going to get greens. Have some chicken already, or some beef, or even cold cuts or something like that, and you can make salads or wraps or anything. That way you're not stressing yourself out.
Even beans, if you're vegetarian or vegan, having some kind of protein that's already prepared. Even if you just chop up some tofu and have that ready to go on your salad, or shredded cheese if you're vegetarian and not vegan. So what do you have to use for? Well, first thing that I see is herbs. We got to get these guys in water because they're going to start wilting if it's super hot out.
I'm going to grab a glass.
Perfect. So the rubber bands, they do kind of get tight on here. They are put on when they're harvested in the field. So you'll want to take the rubber bands off. If you pick up later in the day and you get home later in the day, you might want to take a pair of scissors and trim the end of your herbs so they can drink some water and stay nice and healthy. We have the cilantro. This might not be big enough, but
It's all right. We have another glass.
Yes.
Keep
We
going.
do. That's right. We're in a house. We have glasses abound. So this looks like it's a good snapshot of week 3, week 4 of the CSA share. We start seeing the field greens, the tatsoi, the kale, spinach, the Swiss chard. Oop, get in there. All right, so this would be the herbs. This is how you would store your herbs right away. If you wanted to make them last longer, you can put a plastic bag over them and put them in the refrigerator, or if you have some nice light, put it on a windowsill. You can swap out the water once every 3 days or so to make sure it stays fresh if you don't use it right away.
You're going to wind up using them though. So we're just going to put those aside.
All right.
Okay, the next thing that I would do is get out the salad spinner, a cutting board, and a knife, and I would take care of the lettuce. Out of all these, The cooking greens will last a little bit longer, so I would take the head lettuce at this point and I would rinse it, and I would maybe cut it in half or so, put it in plastic bags once it's dried off in the salad spinner, and then just seal it up. That way it won't wilt or anything, and then you can just stow that in the fridge. Now that is unless this is what you're planning on using with your dinner tonight. Then, you know, keep out what you want. But I would separate it all, put it in the salad spinner, give it a rinse.
And we recommend in our other vegisodes to stack them up in bags with some paper towels. So
through the magic of television, this has already been
washed
rinsed.
and rinsed it.
And then a paper towel I usually put right in the bottom, and this wicks away any extra moisture. Then in it goes, and then if it's full, I'll put another paper towel in, squeeze the air out of it, and that's ready for the fridge. Now that tip you could actually use with any of the greens. So if you know even the cooking greens, the Swiss chard, any of that you're not going to use right away, the paper towel and the bag is probably the easiest way to go.
All right, so if we're not having a salad, first off, you want to take care of the salad greens right away. They're more likely to start wilting as you're going through your share preparing it for the refrigerator. So this takes care of that super quickly. So that's done, the herbs are done. Another thing is we prefer to snip the tips of, or snip the leaves off of our root vegetables. We have a couple different ways to store these. So I like to put them in a bowl of water, and then they last in the refrigerator. If you want to use the greens, it's great. If it's a cooler day, radish greens actually cut up into ribbons and then sauteed or tossed into a soup are really nice.
And turnip greens.
And turnip greens. I like turnip greens for salad too. So that kind of takes care of that. I'll grab a bowl for that.
So these can all get rinsed. That's beautiful.
Oops.
I'll take that.
And I'll grab a bowl.
We'll put those there. Now, as far as the beet goes, I would take the greens and cut it right down. The beets also, just like the radishes and the turnips, you can put in a bowl of water in the refrigerator until you're ready to deal with them or roast them, chop them, shred them, whatever you want to do. The greens are really, really good what you do.
Good.
And we have a vegisode on this already. Just destem them. Don't keep the really big stems. Take the little ones, treat them like you would lettuce, wash them, put them in there. These are fantastic cut into ribbons and stirred into eggs. They just add just a little extra crunch. They're really, really, really good like that.
A quiche, even if you have a store-bought or you make your own crust. If you do want to use your stems because you just don't want to throw them out, it's a really great thing to chop up in a stir fry. It adds a lot of pink color, and you can actually just chop those up and saute them with garlic and onion and olive oil, and then toss it with your pasta or your grains, and it makes it turn all pink. It's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting.
I like
different. All right, so we process this. This is good.
So these, if you don't want to keep a bowl of water in your refrigerator, these will really stay fresh, especially, I mean, you're going to use these in salads. Everybody eats salads all summertime. Open up a bag, line it with the paper towel. Again, put these in. Every layer or so, put another piece of paper towel. These will stay fresh in the refrigerator for a couple of weeks, actually, if you do it like that. You just want to keep them drier and the air from getting to them, and you can keep them in the cold crisper. One of my favorite things to do with the radishes, the beets, and the turnips actually is to get a box grater out. And if you're having a salad, sandwiches, anything, grate them up. The beets are great, no pun intended, raw, grated into a salad. Just give them a peel and put them right in, and that's really, really good with something that's not in the share that we've had all spring is the watermelon radish.
The watermelon radish.
That's another really good one
perfect.
to add to the salad and to sandwiches. Gives them a nice crunch.
So if we were to go forward with a salad tonight for dinner, super easy, get it on the table, and then you have a little extra time to continue preparing your share. I would love to just slice this up very quickly, the Hawkeye turnip, some radishes. I also really like to shred some raw beets, like Stacey said. Another really quick way to take care of your beets and have them ready for the week is have those be the first thing that you do after your greens. You cut the stems off, give them a wash, wrap each one, if they're that size, in tin foil,
Yeah, these are
and
big.
roast them right away. That way they're roasted in your refrigerator ready all week, and you can pull one out whenever you need one.
Add them to anything, really.
Everything.
Salads, everything, soups. We've put them in noodle bowls. They turn the broth nice and pink.
Yeah.
You know, it's really, really pretty, but they're ready for you. So that's really the big thing. The other thing I would do is any of the squashes that are here, dry them off very well before you put them in the refrigerator. I usually take one of the crispers and I line it with a paper towel. Moisture really affects the skin of the squash and the cucumbers. It makes soft spots on them. So I would do that for storage if you're not going to do them right away. The squash is really good raw. So if it is a super hot night that you come home and you really don't want to start cooking anything, cube up the squash, do little 1-inch cubes and throw them in the salad. They're fantastic like that. So are the cucumbers. So that's really my suggestion. If you want to cook, another great chop and drop is onions, garlic, tomatoes, squash. All in a pan. No thought process. Let it simmer away while you deal with the rest of the share. And now you have something cooking while you're still prepping because it doesn't require your attention once it's on the stove.
So these guys are ready. The zucchini, the skins are a little bit thicker, so you don't have to be as vigilant with the water removal, but you still want to take that extra step. You may notice that through the washing process, there might still be a little bit of flour on there on the end that had wilted. Just take that right off. You don't want to have anything encouraging any rot in your refrigerator. Cool part of your refrigerator is perfect for these guys.
That's why the crisper works.
Yes.
Cucumbers, dry them off really well. These do not like the cold. If you're in a time when it's super hot in your kitchen, you may want to keep them in the refrigerator. Just put them in an area of the fridge that is warmer, which is usually the door or one of the upper shelves at the front part of it. The crispers are actually the coldest part of the fridge, so I wouldn't store the cucumbers in that. If it's a time where it's not so hot, these on the counter are fine. It's really when the flavor shines through because the flavor kind of has a habit of stunting the fragrance and all that other stuff.
It really
so
does.
Having that out is good.
So I'm going to pretend that it's peak squash season and we received way more than 6 squash. That's pretty typical of an earlier season for a regular share. So I'm going to preserve all these. I'm just going to scooch these over. So I'm just going to cut off the ends real quick. Just slice them into decent sized rounds. That's what you do, right, Stapes?
Yeah, about that. You're just storing them in the fridge, right?
I was actually going to do freezer, so what do you recommend?
Oh, no, that's perfect. That's perfect.
On the thick side?
Yeah.
Perfect.
For blanching because you don't want it thin for blanching.
Yeah. I'm putting them in the bag for now. Yes, we are blanching. So you can store them for, a couple days before you blanch. You don't have to do the blanching right away, especially when pickup day is super hot. So you can just have these ready to go.
The thing with blanching, you're not cooking them through. It's like 2 or 3 minutes for those slices of squash that are that size. Blanching just winds up killing the microorganisms that are on the outside of the squash. So after you freeze it, it doesn't wind up getting mushy. Is the big thing with squash.
And blanching, you don't have to make it a huge process. If you already have ice in your freezer and you don't want to do it on CSA pickup day, that's fine. You can just do what I'm doing and chop it up, especially if you're doing half and half for blanch and freeze and half for preparation for dinner that night or dinner tomorrow night or lunch, however you go forward with it. Putting it in the bag, super helpful. Anytime you boil water, it doesn't necessarily specifically have to be for blanching. You can get your pasta water ready and you can blanch in your pasta water. And it's okay if your pasta water tastes a little bit like zucchini and you're boiling pasta in it, it gives it a little extra flavor.
So it's kind of like a double duty action that you're doing
really
and
is.
you're not heating up the kitchen with an extra step.
It's not lazy, it's economic.
It works out well anyway.
It does.
And one thing I like to do too is there's a menu planner that's available online from Farmer Dave's. I just find it to be a great list. If you don't like to menu plan, that's fine. I would use it as an inventory list because once you get all this prepped and you get all these bags in your refrigerator, you're going to be like, okay, what's that green bag? What's that green bag? Because you're not going to remember by the time Friday rolls around if you've had a busy week. So I like to actually write down everything I've gotten. And then I can kind of semi-plan. I don't have to necessarily do it on pickup night planning. I have my dinner, I know what I'm having for lunch the next day, throw a few things together, and then when I have that list, I can then go and be like, oh, I think I'm gonna have tacos that night, so we'll use this, or, you know, it just kind of gives you an idea of what you're gonna do.
And even if you just wanted to store it cut like this in the refrigerator for a day or two, you can take this in for lunch, just grab a handful, throw it in a container with some rice and beans. I love just mixing these with a little bit of sour cream and salsa, if you keep some in the fridge at work or something like that, or just put it off to the side in the container, just dipping them in those. It's a really nice fresh snack. If you want to sprinkle a little bit of salt on it, not too much the day that you're eating it, so it doesn't draw the moisture out. It adds a little bit of kick, and then you're not craving, you know, chips and potato chips, corn chips, all that stuff. So this really is a nice way to just jazz up your lunch.
I gotta tell you, one of my favorite quick lunches is honestly taking these raw, putting them in a container in my lunch bag. I have a jar of salsa. And when I'm at work, I'll steam those halfway, then I put the salsa on them, stick them back in the microwave, and that's a snack or lunch. They're fantastic. They don't need anything else. So that's just one of those quick ones.
Stacey, do you keep hot sauce in your purse?
Yeah, actually, I kind of do. And red pepper flake in the car, because you never know when you're going to need it.
Red pepper flake in the car.
All right, cooking greens. We have kale. We have Swiss chard.
You can keep them in the rubber bands, but if you're going to be processing them and you have the time, you do want to take it off. Again, it is constricting against the stems. So you can kind of see here, I don't know if a Mr. Directa can zoom in on it. It is going to crush it, and it will cause the stem to rot a little bit faster if you don't get around to it.
Right,
that's a perfect example on the baby Swiss chard.
Okay.
Yes.
So what we're going to do with these, and you can watch this on a VEGISODE as well, take them off the stems. This is really, really quick, and this is actually really good if you have kids at home and they're running around like crazy waiting for dinner. Make them do this.
Make them do it.
It's not difficult. Hold the stem, pull it off, done.
Even if they're toddlers and they want to just pick little, they're still doing something. They're occupied.
They're cooking.
They're cooking.
They're cooking with mom, they're cooking with dad.
Big helpers. Everyone loves a good helper. There we go.
So we're gonna get all of these off.
Even toddler speed, this can get done.
After all the leaves come off, you're gonna run them through the salad spinner, give them a rinse, just make sure there's no other sand on them or anything. And then once, you don't have to use these that night, you can actually put these in the plastic bags with the towel. Again,
Definitely.
It'll keep you for a few days, so it's not gonna be difficult to add these to anything. Would you like those?
I'm actually looking, and in my mind I'm thinking immediately, not just a lettuce salad, but we have a VEGISODE recipe for massaged kale salad. So the minute you get home, if you put water on to boil and then get couscous going, and then you have that done while you're going through your share, it's on the back burner. You don't have to worry about it. You get that massage with some oil. Have the kids do it. I had my friends' toddlers do it, and they were so attentive to detail. It was magnificent.
Each leaf.
Each leaf, just
got a massage.
Yep.
Got a massage.
I see that, and then I would chop up some scallions. I would also chop up a little bit of spinach. What else do we get? Cucumber. Some parsley would go great in the salad.
And the squash.
Yeah, and the squash. Yeah, if you shave it really thin, the texture will go nicely with the kale. You don't want to have too big of chunks because then it would be a super. I know you like texture differences, but for me that would just be overkill. But that already has used about 4 or 5 different things in your share immediately for dinner that night.
And then the other half of them, if you don't want to use the whole bunch, take some of the kale, some of the Swiss chard, some of the spinach, make the salad, put the other stuff in the bag with the paper towel, and then you can formulate in your mind, what else am I going to use them for? Frittatas are great.
Especially with Swiss chard.
It's fantastic with Swiss chard. Also, you can just do a pasta sauce, and you don't have to do a full-blown pasta sauce. A marinara with fresh tomatoes, if you have fresh tomatoes, or even a can of chopped tomatoes. Do your marinara, throw the greens in. They're fantastic. And again, that's another thing that is delicious cold if you put that on top of the squash rather than the salsa. Winds up using it again. Now, this is one of my favorites.
Yes.
Tatsoi. It's an Asian green. It's a cooking green, but it can also be used raw. And that's one of my favorite things, is slicing this, making a vinaigrette, tossing it with some fruit, and it holds up. So you could make this ahead of time and let it sit there.
Watch the VEGISODE.
We have a VEGISODE on this one. I know we're plugging our own show, but you know, kind of have to. It's low budget.
It ain't a bad thing.
It's low budget. So what else are we going to do with the scallions?
So I already came up with adding them into the kale, massaged kale salad. So that takes care of 2 of them. 2 of them we can use in a frittata the next night. Another 2 we can, or at least 1 we can put on our lettuce salad for tonight.
And I have an idea.
You have an idea.
If you don't know what else, these sit with the herbs great in the water. So honestly, if you're out of ideas at this point, save them. They will stay in the refrigerator or on the counter. So all I'm going to do is slip them in a glass of water with the other herbs because it still has roots on them. So they're going to be taking up that water and these will stay fresh. The ends may dry out a little, but when you go to use them, just trim off the ends. No big deal.
Awesome. So to use the rest of the spinach, this can last in this bag. I don't love to do it. I feel really guilty, but it is washed and packed really well by our team members in the packing area. They are very thorough packing in, making sure that we don't have any bruised leaves or things like that, so you don't have to worry about it being crushed and starting to rot in your refrigerator in the very center. This is very well taken care of. You can add chopped spinach to anything that's already been cooked, macaroni and cheese. Just chop it up and throw it in there. It will wilt nicely in there. We have recipes for adding it into grain salads, quinoa, mixed with beans. You can throw it into a soup at the very end, just like this. I mean, look at the size of this leaf. What?
They're beautiful. And the spinach is almost sweet.
It is.
We just really like it. The other thing is that if you're making like cold macaroni salad and cold potato salad, slicing this up into wide ribbons and tossing that in, it adds a nice crunch to that because, you know, the potatoes are kind of all the same texture and they're a little cooked and it needs that pop. So actually, that's another thing to add the scallions into.
Perfect.
Scallions and spinach, you get a little onion pop without the strong flavor of like a red onion or a white onion. And then you throw some of this in, or that's your bed. And you put some salad on top of it, some potato salad or macaroni salad.
Oh, you can mix your tatsoi, chop up your tatsoi with your spinach, and have some fruit
I'm telling
on that.
you, a million ideas here.
These are the ribbons. And you can store the ribbons also cut like this if you wanted to just blast through it and chop it because you know you're going to be adding it all chopped and you're not going to be cooking it down. Even if you are cooking it down, you can cut it into ribbons.
Right.
It will cook faster and blend in with whatever you're doing easier.
My only suggestion is if you cut it into ribbons, it will degrade faster.
Yes.
So if you do that, I would rebag it in either this or a resealable bag with the paper towel to wick away the moisture because once you start cutting into them, the edges are going to start turning brown. So you want to keep the air out of them. So I would just, if you're going to cut them all, line the paper towel, put them in, line some more paper towels so the moisture gets wicked away and doesn't cause the browning.
Perfect. So
Excellent.
we've come up with a lot of ideas to use the spinach already, the tatsoi, so broccoli raw. So it's awesome. We very recently used here for a dinner for some farm team members, the broccoli raw. We sauteed it with some onions. First we cooked the onions down until they were nice and sweet and getting golden in some butter. A lot of butter. Butter kind of really brings it out and mellows out the tang of the broccoli raw a bit. And then we paired it with shaved steak on sandwiches.
Hoagie rolls,
anything shaved steak would go well with.
So really you're thinking of, you're taking, and it brought me back to when I used to live and work in Providence. It's very Italian, and broccoli raw winds up in so many different things, but having it as a topping on a sub roll is a big deal down there. So having it chopped up, cooked down with the onions and the garlic, it still is crunchy because it's got a lot of body to it. And we don't, like, we'll take off some of the stems, but honestly, where the leaves start, I leave the stem on and that gives you that extra crunch. Cut it into the wide ribbons, saute it, toast the roll. We put goat cheese on it, but traditional would be provolone actually, sharp provolone. I know.
But
Sorry,
it's
I worked on the hill.
They're all good.
And then the shaved steak goes on top of that, and it was just a fantastic sandwich. I mean, I have to actually, that was a fantastic sandwich.
Sometimes I come up with some good stuff.
So, I mean, that's our suggestion for that, and I think the family would like that one
Cook
a whole
it down.
lot.
You can eat it raw too if you feel adventurous with the slightly, It's, I wouldn't say bitter, a little bit sour, tangy. It has a nice tangy taste to it. It's in the mustard green family, so it has that kind of tang to it.
But I don't think it has the punch of mustard green.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't have the spice that mustard greens do. So you can put it on a sandwich if you wanted to really brighten it up. If you're like, lettuce is boring, you can put broccoli raw on instead.
Just cut it thin, too.
Yeah,
I mean, if
real
you're not
thin.
sure if the family will like it mixed in with other greens, if you sliver it when you're cutting it and you just mix it with all the other greens, it's kind of a way to introduce vegetables that people normally wouldn't eat. And that's a big thing with me is roast the vegetables, slice them small, slip them into preparations that you would normally cook for the family or for yourself. Tacos, soups, sandwiches, stir fries.
Definitely.
You don't have to make it the main ingredient, especially if they're like, oh, I don't want to try it. Just slip in a little bit at a time, and it takes people's taste buds a little bit to adjust to them, because I mean, I know I didn't like radishes or turnips before I became a CSA member, and now I eat them raw. So
that's also because it's Farmer Dave's.
And it tastes good.
It just tastes better.
But so that's my suggestion with that.
Yeah, I just came up with an idea. I kept looking at the beets and looking at the spinach. I'm like, so let's pretend we roasted our beets. I would slice the beets up and serve them sliced cold on a cold chopped spinach salad. I would also chop up the rest of the scallions. I would chop up some sorrel. That's a really nice pop to kind of offset the earthiness of the beets. I would like that. If not, I would recommend with the beets probably like a balsamic instead if you wanted to maintain a lower flavor profile, something a little richer.
The other thing with the sorrel, I mean, I think the sorrel is great with...
We got cucumbers.
Potatoes.
Yes, and the potato salad with the sorrel.
So, sorry to turn. Cucumber. So what you could do is dice your cucumber, large dice, and then make a sour cream mayonnaise kind of a sauce that you would toss with. Then take the sorrel, sliver the sorrel, wide ribbons. Cassie's going to show you right here.
With all this other stuff on the
I know.
on the plate.
This is live, folks. This is unscripted, so.
If we were doing this the right way, things would be in the refrigerator.
So we're looking at, here we go, about that size, okay? Take this and mix it in with the sour cream and the mayonnaise, whatever combination you want, salt, pepper, let it wilt down a little bit, then toss the cucumber slices or a good dice in it, and it's a nice cold salad, and then you could put that on top of the spinach.
And if you haven't read about sorrel or don't know about sorrel, it has a really, I say it's a lemony pop to it, a really nice tang to it. It's very acidic. Some people think it doesn't taste like lemon at all, and that's okay, but they do understand that it is acidic, and it has that pop, that kind of sour flavor to it that goes so well with cucumbers.
And I do have to put in one of my favorite sorrel dishes is actually cast iron pan, chopped potatoes, bacon, get everything all toasty together, and then at the very end, take it out, put the raw sorrel that you've chopped in large strips, and you're just tossing it in with the warm salad. And that, it's fantastic. So that's my suggestion.
The cilantro you can chop and add to anything. I really love chopping the cilantro and adding it into a grain salad. Anywhere where I have Southwest flavors, black beans. If you want to put it in black bean soup, you can garnish soups with it. You can put it in a cucumber salad, either sour cream or mayonnaise, same thing. And it does pair really nicely.
All right, we should probably do a quick overview of everything.
Okay,
so when you come home with everything, herbs, plop them right in here. That way they're all set, okay? Any greens like lettuce or butter lettuce or romaine, although romaine's a little bit hardier, I would just chop, wash, bag, paper towel.
Chop, wash, drain bag.
Drain bag, paper towel. That way everything is all ready to go.
Your other leafy greens, the same thing. You want to wash, drain, bag with paper towel. The spinach, again, because it's a little more firm, you can leave it like this. Broccoli raw, you do want to back up. It does wilt really quickly in the refrigerator, no matter where you put it.
And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think what I would use first is the lettuce. Get that used first. And then I would think of a preparation if you do have broccoli raw and try and use that within a couple of days. That way it still has that crunch. Then we have the roots.
The beets.
The beets.
We had the hawkeye turnips and the radishes.
So either one, bowl of water in the fridge, paper towel lined plastic bag.
Nice.
So that's that.
The cucumbers, leave out if it's not too ridiculously hot. If you like having a cool cucumber, keep it in the door of the refrigerator or up above where it's not going to receive as much cold and has a slightly higher humidity to help to maintain it so it doesn't shrivel up into nothing.
And then anything having to do with squash. Dry them off really well. Crisper drawer, nice and cool down there. Line it with paper towels. If it's a big week and you have multiple squash, do a layer, paper towels, another layer of squash, or
chop it up if you think that you're going to have time or have a pot of boiling water at any point during the week. Have it ready. That way when your water starts to boil, get it in there, let it do the blanching thing, take it out, throw it in a bowl of ice water, and you're done. You can even let it sit in that bowl of ice water until you're done with dinner. Come back to it after dinner, take it out and bag it up. You drain it. It's so easy.
You know, it's not a problem at all.
So easy. No excuses. Just kidding.
There isn't. And the other thing is that honestly, there's so many resources online on the website. There's A, the VEGISODEs. B, there's the recipe blog, which has both recipes from outside sources that members have liked and recipes from people that are employees. So there's lots and lots of ideas. Ask anybody at the farm stands if you're picking up your share and you're going through and you're like, what is this? What do I do with this one? Ask. Most people will have an answer for you.
Oh, there's also social media. We do have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook especially. We have the Farmer Dave's business page. We have East Street Farm, Hill Orchard, and Brock's Farm Stand, all of which you can share posts. You can look at things that we've posted and browse through the comments for people picking up their shares. What do I do with this? Oh, I like doing this. It's one of the ways that Stacey and I actually met is through the comment section of Facebook.
So have a question, call or ask. There's plenty of resources, so there's nothing to worry about.
We hope that we've helped you prepare your share. No. And that's a wrap.